that's unbelievable because basically you said the word cold calling and you're getting it back into prospecting. With now that we're going to 2024 with AI and technology and everything else, why do phone prospecting? Why do that as opposed to maybe with all the money that you have based on all these investments now to put into some platform where you can get these deals and still like, why not go that direction? Why not go the easy route?
30 homes. I don't remember, but it was very incremental. I had success very quickly early on because I was willing to make the calls and make a lot of the calls. But I think the big jump was after about 5 years. I kept having these nice incremental jumps of income, about 50,000 a year. And then I went from about 300 something thousand to 500 something thousand. And then that next year is when I jumped to over $1 million.
So we have another edition of this Phone Warriors podcast with a very special guest, good friend of mine and Rich's, Sam Newell with the Multifamily Investment Club and agent in Utah. Sam, welcome to the podcast.
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. So tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of where you work and really who you are.
Yeah, thanks. So, I got into real estate while I was going to college in Utah. I actually bought my first flip before I had my license. So bought my first flip. It was 2010 and bought it for 50 cents on the dollar. Thought that was pretty damn good and lived in it while I was remodeling it. So I was house hacking and going to school, house hacking a flip. And I decided to get my real estate license because my realtor said she was making 150,000 a year. I thought, wow, I didn't came from a little bit more humble beginnings. I thought, if I could make 100,000 a year, that would just be fantastic. That would be amazing. And so that actually became my goal. I just wanted to make 100,000 a year someday, somehow, some way, 100K. And so I started selling, and it was my senior year, and I was trying to go to school, and job offers started coming in to a lot of my friends. And they were looking at making 50, 60,000 a year, working 12 months. And I had done summer sales. So actually in your guys' neck of the woods, Dean, I know we talked about this. I knocked doors a couple summers selling alarms and pest control. And I was making like 40, 50,000 a year. And so a summer in 4 months knocking doors to pay for school. So making 60, 70 out of college just didn't sit the best with me. I wasn't excited about that. And so, I'm flipping a house. I made like 70 grand on my first flip. And I thought, I could do a few more of these. And I also started selling, and I think I made 70 something thousand my first year in real estate while going to school, while flipping a house. And so I didn't finish my last semester of college, never graduated, still don't have a degree. But from then on, I made 50,000 more every year. And I got into Mike Ferry coaching, and really what I wanted is just a system, just a program, something I could follow. Like, I'm not super creative. I don't like to do creative things. I don't like to figure stuff out. I just know I can work really freaking hard. And that's what I did in summer sales. That's what I did in school. And so I applied that to the Mike Ferry sales system and just cold called.
How were you exposed to Mike Ferry?
I got really lucky, man. My first broker, he's a Mike Ferry broker. It's a really funny story, actually. He and I laugh about it because I sit in his office, he's recruiting me, and I'm like, is there a system I can just follow? Like, I know I need a script. Like, I don't want to figure out what to say to people. I know I need to I used to knock doors all day long, so I know I can like cold call and stuff. And he pulls out Mike Ferry's 9-day production plan, slaps it on the desk. He's like, you follow this, you'll make 100,000 a year. And I was like, oh, 100,000, that's a lot. I don't know, but okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. And I was with him 4 or 5 years. I think my best year there was $250,000 within a few years. And that's all I did. I just, followed the script, followed what my coach said, prospected 8 to noon every day. I got to the office by 7 a.m. to practice my scripts. And ended up, my best year in real estate was 106 deals. My team did another 40 deals. And made 1.2 million. So it was fun. It was fun following a system that really I didn't have to figure anything out. just had to get better at the scripts, just had to be more disciplined, and went from my goal of making 100,000 a year to my best year making 100,000 a month.
Wow.
$100,000 a month. That's fantastic. As a real estate agent, right? Not just an investor.
Yeah, that was before I started my investment firm. So yeah, it was crazy. It was listings based. I started working with a lot of investors, but that was just pure sales, just selling houses, selling duplexes, selling fourplexes, and yeah, I credit Mike Ferry, and if your listeners, most of them should know about Mike Ferry, but he just teaches the basics. You got to be disciplined, follow a schedule, and talk to a lot of people about selling, buying, and selling houses, and that's all he did.
So, but Sam, like, doesn't it get really repetitive and boring to keep on doing that every single day? And also, can you kind of tell the viewers or share this with if you guys are listening onto it on Spotify or audio here, is that can you tell them like how long were you following the system to a T to get to those results, and what was your trajectory? I know I'm packing in a lot of questions here. And what was your trajectory from going like, what was that like? Was it 18 months of a swing, like doing all this work, and then all of a sudden, boom, you just kind of popped up and you started doing it? Or what was that like for you?
Yeah, really good question. So my first 6 months in real estate, I didn't have scripts. I didn't have a good broker. I sold one house. I was going to school, sold one house. And that's when I got introduced to my Mike Ferry broker. He gave me that 90-day production plan. And then my next 6 months, I sold 17 houses. So I immediately, literally, I was just reading the scripts on the phone. Like the first day, this is great. I'll just read this shit. Just reading it to people. Like my second week, I got a listing appointment with a for sale by owner. I went to their house and I just read the listing presentation script word for word to them like it was a play. Like I just read it to them and they signed and then I helped them. So it was pretty darn quick how fast I started seeing success with the scripts and everything. But I was also calling 30 people, 40 people a day. And then, I think the next year I sold like 25, 30 homes. I don't remember. But it was very incremental. I had success very quickly early on because I was willing to make the calls and make a lot of the calls. But I think the big jump was after about 5 years. I kept having these nice incremental jumps of income, about 50,000 a year. And then I went to from about 300 something thousand to 500 something thousand. And then that next year is when I jumped to over 1 million. So it was like these little incremental steps of learning, going to prospecting school, going to the retreats, working with my coach every week. And I kept learning, kept learning, kept learning, kept learning. And then all of a sudden something just clicked and I started getting a lot of repeat and referral business. And then it just exploded.
Hmm.
Wow. So I know you said early on that you were getting to the office around 7 a.m. But what does your morning look like from the time you woke up all the way down to, I know we were talking before about time blocks, but like a lot of people struggle with getting to the office at a certain time, but like, were you the early riser at 4 a.m. like, like the books say, or were you just a normal person that woke up, did a few things, got to the office, and just walk us through your morning, your day.
Yeah, I'm not a morning person, but I do have dream boards, and really the thing that motivated me was I wanted to own investment properties. I wanted to own a nice, big, beautiful house, and I wrote my goals out every single day. And so my broker challenged me. He said, "You know what, Sam? You got to start getting to the office earlier. I barely make it in for script practice and role play. Usually a couple minutes late. That was me. I barely made it in on time." And he said, "Write me a check for $1,000 and I'll keep it in my desk. And if you're 1 minute late, I'm going to cash it." And I said, "Okay, but I really need to get to the gym. I had some neck surgeries and some serious health issues with my back and neck." He said, "Okay, get to the gym by 5:30 every single day, rain or shine, whether you're sick or not. You can be throwing up, you can be, dying of the flu. You still got to get there at 5:30, or I'm going to cash this check for $1,000." And back then, when I started this, that was a lot of money for me and my family. Had little babies, and anyways, so I did it. That's what I did. I got to the gym by 5:30, worked out, didn't go home, showered there, grabbed some breakfast, and was at the office role playing and script practice at 7 a.m. And I did that from about 2012 to 2017. Excuse me, 2011. Actually started in 2011. So 2011 to 2017. Every day, 7 a.m. Wrote the listing presentation script out in 20. I think it was 2014. Every single day for a year, because I wanted to be a really good listing agent. I didn't love working with buyers, and but yeah. Anyways, I just had really high, painful accountability, and I was prospecting by 8 a.m. and I'd finish by noon, so 4 hours straight.
Wow. And you said that you were role playing. So do you account any of your success of knowing what to say because of role playing, or do you think it was because of
Yeah,
you reading it? You know,
I was not naturally good. I was not naturally good. I'm pretty monotone and pretty dry. That's my just the way I talk, and really dry sense of humor. So I had to learn how to not be like that on the phone and not be like that with clients. And so thank goodness for this broker. He actually held script and role play every day in his office at 7 a.m. And he was very good at giving feedback. Then in 2012, I started going to Mike Ferry's the prospecting schools where they'd help you with the scripts as well. In 2014, I think I went every other month. 2015, I went every single month. And it's funny, if you guys know G Money, Gay Lee, really great coach. She was listening to me one day and she's like, "Man, Sam, you sound like a little bitch on the phone." And I was like, "What? That's rude." She's like, "No, like, you're talking to this guy who's kind of hostile with you and you were just a little bitch about it." She's like, "You got to learn how to be like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm so sorry. That must be so frustrating for you. Wow, that's that. Oh man." So she really taught me tonality and how to change my voice and actually, not be reactive, but sit there and listen and get in rapport with the people on the phone. But I thought it was hilarious. I was like, "Thank you for calling me a little bitch. That was so helpful." Like it took it, so it took some really great coaches. Tony Smith taught me some amazing things at prospecting school. Patrick Ferry when he was running it back in the day. So what I knew is I wanted to spend time with people who were really good at what I wanted to do. Hal Swayze, I got to prospect next to him for a few days at prospecting school. Neil Weichel, um, Grace saying there's some people that I took things from them, and so I think overall I went to about 28, if I counted them all, 28 different prospecting schools over the course of a few years, and all I wanted to do is shrink time. So uh, you can shrink time or your learning curve by doing more. And that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to prospect to more people and shrink how much time it took me to get a listing. And I wanted to learn more and learn more from more people who are good at it so I could get better faster. And that's all I was trying to do.
That's amazing, dude. I mean, the fact that, you were exposed. I think what I'm hearing also is that your exposure to the right people at the right time, almost in the middle of that, right? Because you said your trajectory was 2011, let's say you started this whole thing, and then as you incrementally went up in income, all of a sudden 2015, now you're being exposed to the top of the echelon of the
Yep.
prospectors that are out there in the country. And funny enough, how your income also, all of a sudden
Yeah,
went. So,
absolutely.
so from there, so now you're doing it. Now you're making about $1 million a year, 100,000 a month, let's say minimum, and now you're coasting. So now it's 20, let's say, call it 16, 17, 18, and then what happened there that you decided to transition into more investing for yourself?
Yeah, so I'd been buying properties and let's go back to the motivation and inspiration of these people that I spent time with. I saw Hal Swayze get up on stage and he said he took his boys out of middle school, his two boys, and they did a 1 year world tour. I don't know if you guys were at that one, but Hal talked about, he's like, they missed like sixth and seventh grade, and he took them to Australia, took them to Europe, skiing in the Alps, and he spent one entire year traveling with his boys and his wife. And he's like, look, you got your kids for 18 years, maybe. You might as well do something really awesome like that. And he's like, I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world. And then there's a few other people that have done that since then. And that really hit home. My goal is to be an amazing dad. I did not have a great home life growing up. And that was really, really motivating for me. That really hit home. And I thought, in order to do that, I need to make a lot of money, to be able to walk away from your business for an entire year. And I also need investments. They're going to pay me some cash flow as well. So in 2013, I started writing at the top of my Mike Ferry notebook, make $1 million a year and buy investment properties. And in 2013, I wasn't making anything close to that, but I knew I was going to buy investment properties and make $1 million a year. In 2018, I finally made $1 million a year. I'd bought a few investment properties, but I had been doing these deals and helping this developer sell these fourplex communities where we developed 300 doors at a time. And it was killing me because our investors, our clients were making way more money. Like, we were making great commissions. We were all making millions. My partners were making way more than me. They were making 3, 4, 5 million bucks every development. But the investors' upside was massive. We'd build them these fourplexes and they'd sell them for a 25% gain within the year, 50% gain within the next year. And I was like, well, damn, if we could actually build these or do something like this, retain them for ourselves, maybe borrow the money, and then, like, there's so much money on the table. And that partnership didn't work out. They had some honesty issues, and I parted ways with them in 2018. And that's when I started my syndication company. I said, you know, let me back up. The other problem was that I wanted to solve was my investors that are selling these fourplexes to were terrible at managing their own properties. And my best example was I had this heart surgeon in California who bought, like 5 or 6 fourplexes from me and had forgotten to hire a property management company. So a couple months later, he's calling me. He's like, "Hey, I really need to get these units rented out." I'm like, "Well, how many do you have rented out?" He's like, "Well, none of them." I was like, "I forgot." Like, it must be nice to have that kind of money and not really work, rent out your rental properties, just be paying the mortgage. But I was like, holy cow, man! Like, because I would give all my clients full, everything they needed. I'd set them up with all the property managers, give them everything they needed. He just had gotten busy doing heart surgeries and forgot. So I knew I could do it better for my clients. I knew that I could buy a income property or an apartment complex, manage it better, and create some really great returns, and also have both of us make money and not earn a commission, but earn equity in the deal, and in a few years be much more better off financially. And so that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I started doing in 2018. 2019, we bought a couple small properties. 2020, we bought $35 million worth of apartment complexes. The next year, we bought a little bit more than that. And now we own about 1,700 doors across the country. Dean, you're an investor in some of those deals. The market's been really tough. It's taught us a lot. Luckily, we're really conservative. If we hadn't been, we'd be in trouble. And I'd say that's one thing that's really important when you look at investments and buying any rental property. You got to be very conservative. But now we're looking at, we have, I think, 11 different properties right now. And in 2 to 3, 4 or 5 years, we'll sell them all for a really nice profit. And it's a win-win scenario. Our investors don't have to, be like the heart surgeon and worry about managing their own rental properties and forgetting to rent them out. We do everything for them. And then we also get a nice cut at the end as well.
Yeah. So what would you say? What were some of the attributes or the traits that you learned being an agent that transpired into the multifamily investment club that you've been doing with all these investments?
Yeah, I mean, it's all the same. If you want to be successful, you have to work your ass off and be disciplined. And I actually became a coach for one of my friends who ran a multifamily kind of boot camp for people that wanted to get into multifamily syndication. And the thing I saw as an agent was the same thing I saw as a coach for multifamily is
Mm.
people be excited, they'll get in the business, they'll put in a month or two of work and then they'll just quit. Maybe
Mm.
even a year of work and they'll get frustrated, or maybe they will only put in a little bit of work each month and they get burnt out because they don't see results immediately. And so it's the people who have very clear goals and a very clear plan and can do that day in and day out and consistently work hard who eventually see the results. Good example of that is Lyndon, my partner, and I. We were looking at deals all of 2018, all of 2019. We jumped into a few deals with partners who had found some great deals, but deals that we personally found, we didn't buy anything for almost 2 years because we didn't want to buy something bad and we wanted to buy something we knew was a good deal. And we probably analyzed 200 plus different properties,
Mm.
like huge amount of time just in my basement office, just
Yeah.
looking at the numbers, wondering if it's a good deal. We
Mm.
finally bought this hotel. We ended up making a 300% return on it. It was great. But that was our first deal, but it took us a long time to figure out how to analyze a property correctly and how to have the confidence to move forward to buy it, knowing that, okay, yeah, this is going to make money. But most people wouldn't give it 2 years before they did their first deal. Most people wouldn't analyze 200 deals. And that's what I've seen with, I've recruited agents, I've had teams in real estate. People just don't want to put in the time.
And would you say that being a realtor is what helped you out to be able to analyze these deals and be confident to, to pull the trigger and say, hey, listen, this is a good deal? Or was it, self-education? Because I know you're saying you were a coach. So were you being coached to be able to figure that out? Or was that kind of all just being a realtor and understanding how to run a net sheet and an NOI and so on and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, really good question. One of my favorite Mike Ferry coaches, man, I can't remember his name. David something. Anyways, he and I were talking back in like 2011. It really stuck with me. He's like, and this is why I signed up for Mike Ferry coaching. He goes, Sam, how many, you like basketball? I'm like, yeah. He's like, how many coaches do you think LeBron James has? I don't know, three or four. Yeah. He's like, an Olympian. How many coaches do they have? Do they ever not have a coach? It's like, if you want to perform at the highest level, you won't have one coach, you'll have two or three. He's like, you don't have any right now. You literally have zero, and you're trying to make a lot of money. That doesn't make sense. And so, anytime I've been in real estate, I've had at least one coach. I've had a Mike Ferry coach. I've had a coach as a broker. When I moved into multifamily, I paid a huge amount of money to be coached by someone who's done, hundreds of deals. And so, yeah, I mean, the confidence was there. I knew how to work hard. I knew investment properties already, but all I've ever done is wanted to spend time with people that have done this at a higher level than I have. And I've paid coaches a lot of money to really skip the learning curve and not make stupid mistakes and to do things the right way.
That's
Yeah.
great.
That is amazing. And also, I mean, Rich, if you want to tap into more of that conversation, fine. I was going to transition into kind of him going to where he's at now. So the fact that you have 1,700 doors or so, right? 11 out of the 11 properties around the country. And then on top of that, this $1 million business that you built in sales up until that point. And from what I understand, you're looking to get back into prospecting and actually building up your sales business again. So guys, just
Yeah.
understand this right here. Okay, we have a multi-millionaire that we're talking to. He's a very successful investor and agent, but yet he's going back to, from what I understand, basics. Sam, could you kind of tell us a little bit about why you're looking to do this and like what gives like mindset wise to do something that hard to do again?
Well, I mean, it was just an error on my part. I thought I could do them both at the same time. And I didn't realize how much, so I didn't realize how fast we'd grow. I thought, I can still make 500,000 a year and I can do the syndication company. It'll be awesome. I'll be selling 50, 60 homes a year and I'll be buying two, three, four properties a year. Had no idea how much time it'd actually take to build this syndication company up. And so my plan was never to quit and just stop selling real estate cold turkey. That's what I had to do, because what happened in 2020 is we bought this little 30 unit. Excuse me. We bought this little 30 unit building, and one of our friends and investors, right after we bought that, said, "Hey, I've got 14 million that I need to 1031 exchange, and Sam, I want you to be the one that helps me find properties." He's like, "I trust you. I know you. I know you know what you're doing. And he was a Mike Ferry agent, and that meant a lot to him. He's like, "I know." He's like, "I know who you are. I've known you for years. All these other people are trying to take my money, but I want you to be the person that helps me find these replacement properties."
Wow.
So we went from buying a little 30 unit deal for 1 million to buying three more deals in December of that year for just over $35 million. And total doors, that was almost 500 doors. And so my life just absolutely changed. I can manage a 30 unit, my eyes closed. All of a sudden I had a property in El Paso, Dallas, and Cleveland, all over 100 doors that I was doing heavy rehab on. And so anyways, yeah, life got crazy. Life got really, really crazy. And I was still selling a few homes here and there, but the goal was always to make enough money to invest in my own deals, which I did. I invested a bunch of my own money in all these deals, but then my production went down a ton because I was managing way more than I thought I would have because I grew way too fast. And then the next year we bought another like $40 million worth of deals. And my life was just chaos. So I was just trying to catch up, and these, like it's funny. My partner Tien brought me this deal, $27 million in El Paso, and I was looking for. I had just raised like 7 million bucks for one of the Cleveland deals, and I thought I was done for the year. It was like August, I think it was August. Excuse me. And I was like, "Oh, Tien, I don't know. Like, I just pushed really hard. We just closed this deal. I'm working a ton of hours. I don't know." But the numbers, I was like, this could be the best deal we've ever bought. I think we have to buy it. It's an amazing deal. And our investors had the money. The market was crazy back then. This is 2021. So it was really intimidating. It was an $11 million raise. And so, yeah, that year, I think I sold like three houses, but I raised almost like $24 million in 2021.
Nice.
So we bought that deal, raised 11 million bucks, and it has been the best performing property we ever bought, and I'm in love with it. I will never sell that thing. I don't know why. It's just for some reason it's the best property we ever bought. So, anyways, you go into 2022, I sold like three houses, but the goal was always to make 3, 4, 500,000 extra per year to put back into these deals. I just couldn't because we kept buying properties, we kept having great success, but that meant that all of my time was managing these properties, and we've had dishonest property managers, we've had emergencies, we've had issues at these properties, we've had to fire multiple property managers. So the great news is finally I'm back in a position where I hired enough employees and was able to walk away from the business a certain amount where I can get back to cold calling, producing, and making money so I can reinvest that money back into these properties alongside my investors again. So it's
So
taken a while, but yeah.
But that's crazy. That's unbelievable because basically you said the word cold calling and you're getting it back into prospecting. With now that we're going to 2024 with AI and technology and everything else, why do phone prospecting? Why do that as opposed to maybe with all the money that you have based on all these investments now to put into some platform where you can get these deals and still like why not go that direction? Why not go the easy route?
Yeah, this year we've really slowed down our purchasing on the multifamily side because interest rates are so dang crazy, and possible correction coming up or happening as we speak. And as far as technology goes, I have this guy I know. He was posting like 17 times a day and got like 7 or 8 deals off of it. I'm talking about just Utah real estate as a realtor. Um, but it's the tried and true thing that just always works. You get another human on the phone, and if you're good, you can close them. You can make them feel heard, and it just human to human. I don't think will ever go away. I think there's other things that work. I'm actually part of a team in a brokerage now that uses Zillow Flex, and they're great. And we get these calls, and you pay a huge referral fee, and that's fine. But I'd rather not pay a referral fee. I'd rather put in the time, because my acquisition cost for that lead is so much less. If I'm disciplined and I can make the calls, I don't know another source for finding deals that has a lower acquisition cost. I don't think there is, other than just getting a referral, from a friend, which are great. But you make way more money. And so if you have the skills and the ability, you're going to make way more money just cold calling, and it's more consistent and predictable. There's nothing that's more consistent and predictable.
Amazing.
Listen, you are a proven testament. Why am I drawing a blank on that? But you have a proven track record where you were successful as an agent, successful as an investor. Now you want to blend both back into to better yourself, better your position for your family. So that's amazing all by itself. It sounds like you started off rock bottom, you accelerated at a very fast pace. And it all goes down to, like you said, talking to people, prospecting. And that's exactly what we all know. How to talk to people, how to like you said, read scripts. And anybody who's listened to this, just could take, if they take one thing away, take a piece of paper, read it verbatim, understand maybe one or two objections that are coming back, and then just say that. Like, you literally said you were on a listing appointment and you read it verbatim and you got a FSBO signed contract. Like, if that's
Yep.
not like proven by itself, that's great. And it just seems to me that over time, as working with investors, you learned, and you were probably running analysis for them for so many times and saying, hey, listen, buy this property, go over here, do this. And then it gave you the courage to be able to, hey, I can do this myself. And then you blew up doing multifamilies, and then now you're around. So I think everything comes back full circle. So, I'm very happy that I'm able to speak to you. Just
Yeah.
see.
Thanks. No, I appreciate what you
Sam,
guys are doing as well. I would say the most important thing is to spend time with people that are doing what you want to do, and that's why I really like your guys' group. It's really important to spend time with people that'll work hard, that are inspiring. That's why I went to the prospecting clinics. That's why I am part of your guys' group. Um, I'm a I'm not crazy disciplined on my own. I'm not good at just motivating myself. And so I always try to spend time with people that are motivating, that where there's a good environment. So the brokerage I'm currently at, they prospect hard. Most of them are not Mike Ferry agents, but they prospect hard, and that's the only reason I'm there, is because I want to be around people that are doing what I know what it takes to make it big. And so I would say that's, for me, the biggest thing that's always helped me is spending time with people that are really doing what it takes.
well, clearly, Sam, you're an overnight success. That clearly took 6 years in the making, but we'll call it overnight success, right? So,
Yeah.
anyway, but with that said, so Sam, if you could take a time machine back to
I was gonna do
yourself, I'm going to ask this question. This is my
I was
question.
really about to cut you off and do it, but you beat me to it.
So, Sam, you're in a time machine. You're going back to yourself. Okay, let's say we're about the same age, so you're talking yourself in your early 20s, early
Hmm.
to mid 20s, right? What are you telling yourself, knowing what you know now about life, business, and all the experiences you've had, that you can give one thing to yourself back then? What would you say?
Ooh, one thing. I feel like I did a lot of it right, as far as following Mike Ferry, following the scripts, following a business plan. Um, Financially, what I would say is, I bought duplexes and houses to flip. Um, I would say find partners and go buy big apartment buildings. If I had done that then, I'd be retired right now, because I was making, I made like 40 to 80 grand every time I did a flip profit. I have a buddy who was started the same time as me, but he started with multifamily, and he never has to work another day in his life. because instead of making 40, 50 grand each flip, he was making 400, 800, 5 million every time he was flipping these apartment buildings, because he bought in 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14 when prices were low. So that is that would have been really nice to know back then. And then on the personal side, absolutely love being dad. Absolutely love, that's really, really important to me. And I would say, probably just improve yourself to be a little bit better dad. And not that I wasn't, but that's really important to me. And spend a little bit more time with your kids. Take them with you on more appointments. I started taking my kids with me on appointments in 2014, 2015.
Mm.
And my clients freaking loved it. And they didn't care. I was a little bit nervous. And now I just literally take my kids everywhere on my appointments with me. And I don't care if my clients don't like it. I'm going to spend time with my kids. And you only get them for 18 years. And so that's really, really important for me now is if I'm going out on appointments, if it's in the evening, it's a time when I'm supposed to be with my family, my kids are coming with me, and we're going to make it fun. And my daughter's, she's 10 now. She's got a notebook. She's got to write down how to sell this buyer that we're showing, why they should buy the house. And so I think time with kids, and even if she's got to take them on appointments, really important for me.
That's awesome, dude.
Well, I
And so,
appreciate it.
yeah, man, this has been great. Thank you for spending the time and talking to the crew and everyone that's watching this. And I guess the last question I can think of, man, is just like going to 2024. A lot of agents out there, a lot of chitter chatter with the lawsuits going on, all the different things. And
Yeah.
there's so much media blitz happening, I think, on realtors right now with technology being oh, we're going to be replaced by AI, and then the lawsuits happening, and then it's like the FCC is coming down on also cold calling. It's like, what advice would you give an agent today if someone says, Sam, make me who you are or who you were coming up? What are you telling them going into this new world that we're in as an agent? One piece of advice for them.
Yeah, in 2020, when I actually started my podcast in 2020, right about the time the pandemic started, and I was asking the agents, hey, what are you going to do? I was asking Hal Swayze, Brian Burnett, Mike Darda, what are you guys doing? They said, we're just doubling our efforts. Literally, like, I still have to make $5 million this year, is what they were telling me. So I guess I just got to double my numbers. I got to, instead of hitting 30 calls a day, I got to hit 60. And so I would say, if you help people and you are really there to serve your clients, you have really good scripts, really good information for them. You can explain the contract and the buyer situation, buyer commission really well with the lawsuit. You should have good information, but just double your efforts. It might be harder, but you can still hit your goals. And that's what I really learned. I was so surprised by that. And the world was falling, COVID was happening, and all these agents, these really strong mindset agents, were like, hey, I'm just doubling my efforts. I'm not going to not hit my goals this year. Like, screw the pandemic. I'm just going to double my efforts. And people like Mike Darda increase their market share in their area and surpass their goals. Brian Burnett, other people. And so that's what I'd say is, and that's the most important thing I've learned from hanging out with people like you guys and the other Mike Ferry agents, is it doesn't matter what's going on in the market. It's, you can control your future, you can control your production, and it might be harder. You might have to work a little bit more, but double your efforts and make it happen.
It's awesome, man.
Love that advice. That's great advice.
Awesome. All right. Well, how can people find you before we cut off? What's the easiest way to find you?
Oh, just Facebook, Sam Newell. Dean, we're friends on Facebook. I watch you and your little girls and your wife on there. I loved your family picture you had. That was freaking hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Holding her upside down or something. I can't remember. Crying or whatever. Typical. We just did family photos yesterday. But yeah, Facebook is really easy. Sam at mfi.com is my email. So yeah,
Cool.
if you have someone that want to buy or sell in Utah, hit me up.
All right. Awesome, dude. Thank you so much. This has been fantastic.
Thanks, fellas. Appreciate you.